we are also working with Congress so that it becomes that new provisions are introduced into the Price Act, especially dun sa mag-adjust tayo dun sa penalties natin para naman mas mabigat yung mga penalty pag nagkakaroon po ng violation.
Ready to go. That's how the Department of Trade and Industry's chief described investment pledges fresh off President Marcos' official visit to Japan. When can we expect these promises to turn into real deals? And when can we feel their impact? We discuss specifics as we sit down with Trade Secretary Fred Pascual tonight on the Chiefs. Magandang gabi. Ako po si Robbie Alampay. Kasama po natin ngayon sa studio here in Mandaluyong. Ed Lingao of One News. Tapos online from the Philippine Star offices, we have Ami Pamituan, Editor-in-Chief po ng Philippine Star. Chiefs, good evening.
Happy midweek.
Anong balita dyan, Ami?
Showbiz muna tayo. Nagagalit yung mga senador doon sa pelikula ni Gerard Butler daw.
Go.
Sa plane na nag-crash doon sa Sulu.
Plane.
Plane.
Yeah. I saw that for the first 15 minutes and then I switched to.
Pinanood mo.
Hindi, so anong kinagagalit ng mga... Hindi ko pa napapanood. Anong kinagagalit ng mga...
Daw yung mga yung mga
Ini-stereotype nila yung hulo. Because the plot is that Gerard Butler is the pilot of an aircraft, a commercial aircraft that crash lands or does a forced landing in Jolo. Jolo, as they insist on calling it. Jolo.
Mali pa pronunciation.
Talaga napanood ni Ed, ano? Isa pang nagagalit, syempre, yung mga Chinese, sabi nila, tuwing ginagamit natin yung Mutual Defense Treaty to intimidate. Yan, ha?
Iba na yun.
Nagulat ako doon.
Akala
ko na-miss ko yung mga
Iswabi
Chinese
mo naman
sa
yung mga
Jolo.
segue natin. Nagugulat kami dito.
Isip ko, may Chinese ba dun sa Jolo? Ayun, sa pelikula. Sa Hulo, marami. Well, hindi marami, pero marked kasi yung presence ng Chinese traders dun sa Hulo eh. But anyway, that's a different story altogether.
In the meantime, dagdag ko lang ng isang I'm sure nasa balita niyo rito, Ami. Philippine Army has filed complaints versus General Durante and Colonel Michael Licayco for violation of 2 articles. But basically, ang mahalaga dito is this has to do with the murder of Yvonne Chua. Diba? Yung the model businesswoman.
Model, yes.
So ano to? Court-martial to?
It's a court-martial, yeah.
Court-martial siya.
Yeah. Iba pa yun dun sa criminal case that PNP is filing or has filed already.
Okay.
Mas mabilis yan, mas mabilis.
Sige.
Ang proceeding lang.
But anyway, as we said, later on in the program, we will also be talking about the investment pledges and supposedly the investment secured by the government. That will be later on. But immediately after this break, we'll still talk about prices of goods in the Philippines. We'll speak with our first guest after a short break. The Chiefs will be right back.
More than 17,000 chickens were culled in Santa Maria, Bulacan after a confirmed bird flu outbreak was recorded in the area. The Bureau of Animal Industry says the chickens were hit with the H5N1 strain. While it is possible for the virus to be passed on to humans, no cases have been recorded so far.
The BAI assures that it has resolved bird flu outbreaks in 6 poultry farms around the country. It also notes that the country's egg and chicken supply is not affected by the recent outbreak.
Napaka-insignificant niya based dun sa volume or sa number ng manok na tinamaan. So, it wouldn't cause much dent naman sa ating ano. At saka ang mahalaga po talagang we contained na po the disease.
Smuggling of chicken and poultry products is rampant nowadays. A broiler raisers group is warning this could lead to the possible spread of bird flu, which will certainly impact production and possibly prices. Let's bring in Gregorio San Diego, chairman of the United Broiler Raisers Association and Philippine Egg Board. Good evening, Mr. San Diego. Welcome back to the Chiefs.
Good evening sa inyo, tatlo, at good evening din sa inyo mga taga-subaybay.
Good evening, sir.
Magandang gabi po. Dalawang parte po yung intro natin. Una, yung importation, pagkatapos the concern for bird flu. Doon muna tayo sa first part ng concern. Gaano katalamak pa po ba ang smuggling ngayon sa chicken and poultry?
Actually, hindi naman na chicken industry lang Lahat ng agricultural product, hindi ba? Nasa news na yan And even sa hearing sa Congress, si Congressman Salceda, sinasabi yan, nagugulat siya sa biglang dami ng mga nag-i-smuggle ng agricultural product. So, sa broiler side, sa chicken meat, ito ang nakaka-apekto sa amin. Kaya ang local production natin, medyo kumonte, it's because of this over-importation. Hindi naman kayang labanan ng local industry itong mga presyo ng mga ini-import natin, mga chicken product.
Saan po ang weak point dito? Paano po nakakapasok?
Ang sabi ko nga, ang importers at saka smugglers mukhang mas organized kaysa sa gobyerno natin Ito lang, yung recent lang, going out of the issue sa chicken, yung sa onions. Yung simple problema natin sa onions, hindi masolve hanggang ngayon Kasi nga, ang ginagawa, sabi din sa amin, ibang kakilala namin sa Department of Agriculture, pagka nag-grade sila, halimbawa, ng cold storage ng onion, pagdating nila, wala na doon yung onions Nailipat na sa ibang cold storage. So, yung naman, sa mga meats, hindi lang sa chicken, yung nahuli sa Subic, na kung ilang container, ang pag binuksan mo yung container, may kita mo mga boxes ng mga chicken balls, yung para sa shabu-shabu from China. Pero pag tinanggal mo yung nasa about 3 rows of it, o 2 to 3 rows of it, nasa loob na yung mga iba-ibang mga produkto na pork, chicken, fish, at saka beef. So, ibig sabihin lang, sa China, ina-assemble itong mga laman ng container van. Kasi the container vans are coming from China. Pero pag inano mo yung loob, may beef from Brazil, halo-halo na yan. May chicken, may pork. So,
Sir, may tanong po dito sa inyo si Bok. Pero bago yan, babanggitin ko lang din. Kasama na po natin si Lucy Cruz Valdez ng News 5.
Sige. Good evening, Lucy.
Bok.
Good evening. Sir, kasi sabi niyo kanina, kumonte yung production dahil sa importation. But we've been hearing that across the board, hindi lang dito sa poultry, pati sa baboy, pati sa asukal, pati sa sibuyas, bawang, lahat na Kausa namin sinag kagabi. Anyway, ito po, on the part of chicken naman, kung kumonte yung production, gaano kalaki ang binagsak ng production?
Since yung COVID, kasi nung COVID, to give you a brief history, nung COVID kasi, nung nag-lockdown, sumulat kami sa secretary noon, si Secretary Dar. Sabi namin, baka po pwedeng temporarily itigil muna yung importation ng chicken. Kasi yung bumibili ng mga imported chicken, ito yung mga SRI, yung hotel, restaurants, at saka yung mga food chains. Hindi ba nasara lahat yan? A week after nung sinulatan namin si Secretary Dar, sumulat din si Senator Villar supporting our position. Ang tagal, nung sagutin kami, ang sabi sa amin, hindi daw po pwedeng itigil yung importation kasi magagat yung WTO. At ang pinali sa amin, magbawas kami ng production to accommodate the imports. At ang nangyayari nung taon na yun, noong 2020, mas dumami pa yung imported kaysa doon sa previous year. So talagang sabi namin, ang daming nalugi sa amin, hindi nagbibiro yung DA, talagang tototohanin yun. No? Kaya marami sa amin, ang estimate namin, even the big companies reduce their volume by siguro on average 30%.
Ang binagsak, sir, since 2020, nung simula yung pandemic, or since last year?
Noong 2020, nag-ano na yan. Kaya nga, nag-ano kami noon, sumulat kami na baka pwedeng temporarily itigil muna. Kasi nga, wala namang gagamit na imported chicken kasi sara lahat yung mga hotels, hindi ba, restaurants, yung food chains. So, hindi naman kami pinagbigyan. At ang payo nga sa amin, magbawas daw kami ng volume to accommodate the import. Kaya nangyari nga. Kasi nga, nung time na yon, sa dami ng imported chicken, ang farm gate prices namin bumaba hanggang 25 pesos per kilo. Live
Mr.
chicken yan sa farm gate.
Mr. Diego, ang sabi sa amin, bumagsak din daw yung production nyo dahil tumaas yung presyo ng corn feed. Sa ngayon, kumusta yung situation nun? Kasi lalong lumala after the Ukraine war, ano? Kumusta yung situation dun sa feeds?
Tumataas pa rin ang presyo ng feed kasi yung kamukha ng soya, itong recent weeks, tumaas na, nasa mga 38, 39 pesos per kilo. No, dati-dati yan, bago yung crisis at saka bago yung COVID, nasa mga, ano lang yan, 22 pesos, 24 pesos. So, yung cost ng feed talaga, yun ang malaki factor, even for layers. To give you an idea, ang isang manok na nangingitlog, yung feed component lang ng costa, ang kinakain nilang feed isang araw, halos 5 piso na Kaya tumaas man yung presyo ng itlog, ang nangyayari, hindi kami nalulugi ngayon, pero hindi naman malaki yung kita namin kasi ang taas ng production cost. Sa feed cost lang yung 5 piso, mayroon ka pa labor, electricity, water, lahat. At saka, ang malaking nadagdag sa cost namin, yung tinatawag namin, yung para doon sa biosecurity, nung nililinis namin palagi yung mga farms namin, dinidisinfect, medyo mahal yan. Pagkatapos, kamukha ng mga egg trays, hindi na namin nagagamit agad, disposable na. Kasi ayaw namin bumalik sa farm, baka makakuha ng sakit sa labas.
So, Mr. Sandiego, walang pag-asang mag-soften yung presyo ng itlog kasi medyo malaki yung tinaas niya, no? And ang pinakamalaking factor na sinasite nga yung pagtaas ng feed. Saka yung nga yung sa yung gastos ninyo. Wala siyang pag-asa in the coming weeks, hindi kaya magbababa ng konti yung presyo ng itlog.
Actually, itong isang buwan na, medyo stable yung presyo sa farm. Medium yung pinagbabasihan natin ng presyo. Kasi yung medium size, yun ang pinakamaraming iniitlog na isang manok. So, nasa 7 pesos 20 centavos ang farm gate price namin. For a month now, hindi nagbabago. Ang pinakamababa niya sa Cebu na namin ang 593 at ang pinakamataas sa Iloilo na 8 pesos per piece. So, yung sa pagbaba, hindi siguro, depende rin yan sa economics yan sa purchasing power ng nating mga Pilipino. Pagka sinasabi nga namin, pag tumating yung presyo, may certain threshold yan Pag tumating sa presyong yun, hindi nabibili ng tao yan kasi masyado mamamahalan. Kami naman, pag dumating yung ganung sitwasyon, magbababa kami ng presyo kasi hindi naman namin pwedeng imbakin yung itlog nabubulok yan So, ganyan ang nangyayari sa amin sa 2021. Kaya nalugi kami lahat sa egg industry. Sobrang dami ng production tumaas yung feed. Ngayon, hindi nabili gano'n itlog. Kaya yung mga traders, pinapautang na lang namin yung itlog. O kaya kung magkano ang bili nila, ang gusto nilang presyo, binibigyan na namin kaysa sa mabulok sa mga farm namin. And that is also one of the reasons kung bakit nagbawas ng population ng layer industry. Noong 2021, sobra production, lugi kami lahat. Yung mga small and medium scale producers, yung mga maliliit na farmers, yung mga nagsara, at yung malalaki naman, nagbawas din ng capacity. Then came 2022, sakit naman. Ito nga bird flu ang nagpahirap sa layer industry.
Sir San Diego, totoo ba na pagka tag-init, bumababa rin ang production? So, ang ibig sabihin po ba niyan, ngayon na mag-summer, lalo pang lalalayan?
Oo. Sa poultry, halimbawa, kahit sa broiler, pagka mainit, talagang hindi sila nagiging efficient. Naapektuhan sila ng init. Mas gusto ko nila yung ganitong climate, medyo malamig, maganda yung performance nila. Pero alam mo, modern na rin yung mga poultry houses natin. Yung mga pumapasok sa layer industry, sa broiler industry, yung mga buildings nila, mga tunnel ventilated na Kumbaga sa naka-aircon na yung mga manok So, hindi na masyadong problema niya na init. Ang problema init yan sa mga conventional houses, yung mga lumang mga buildings.
Sir, ito
Hindi ho yan bababa talaga. We're not gonna see the presyo go down to what it was before, no? Mga 5-6 pesos. Sobrang taas kasi ngayon, di ba? 10 piso. Parang alala.
Yung 10 pesos masyadong mataas. Pero hindi kaagad tayo makakapagparami ng manok kasi matagal yung cycle. Kung halimbawa mag-uumpisa ka sa sisiw, magbibilang ka ng 5 to 6 months bago mangitlog yan. At also, for your info, halimbawa, nag-umpisa ka sa sisiw, bago yan mangitlog, ang gagastusin mo sa bawat isang manok na layer, nasa mga 400 pesos. Kaya ganun kalaki ang puhunan na. Kaya yung mga maliliit na farms, hindi na sila makapasok uli, yung mga tumigil itong bagsakang presyo. Kahit hindi kami nalilugi ngayon, tinatanong namin sila, yung iba sa kanila, ang sinasabi, wala na silang kapital. Ngayon, yung iba naman, natatakot ng pumasok kasi sa laki ng puhunan, baka pagka nangitlog yung mga manok nila, malugi na naman sila. O kaya baka magkasakit na naman.
Ano ba ang productive life ng isang manok? Kumbaga, gaano katagal or ilang cycles ng pangingitlog ang kaya nila?
Bali, ang 100 weeks, yung mga isang taong mahigit ang tinatagal ng manok bago ikal.
Okay.
Pero
So yung 400 peso na... Yeah.
Yung 400
So yung 400 peso na sisiw, pag pinalaki nyo after 6 months, mangingitlog yun ng about 2 years, no? Parang ganon. So hindi nababawi yun. You mean to say,
Hindi,
One year.
yung linawin ko, ang sisiw ngayon, dahil kumonte nga yung mga breeders dito sa Pilipinas, ang cost ng isang sisiw ngayon, yung day old na tinatawag namin, asaya 70 pesos per piece. Ngayon, papakainin mo yan, gagamutin mo yan, kaya by the time na mangingitlog yan, ang nagastos mo na, including the cost of the chick, nasa mga 400 pesos.
Okay.
Ganun kalaki. Ang magiging kapital mo, kaya kung mag-aalaga ka ng, halimbawa, 1,000 manok, 400,000. Doon sa manok pa lang ang puhunan mo, bukod pa yung mga building.
At may attrition pa yan, ano?
Sir, ito po nabanggit nyo na ng papio, pero puntahan na natin ngayon. As we've been talking about yung production, mga logistical, pati na yung mga implikasyon ng smuggling. Doon tayo sa pangalawang banda naman, yung pinsala na inaasahan nyo ng bird flu. What does this do to your projections at saka sa sitwasyon ng supply natin?
Ang kamukha yan, nabanggit nyo na may na-incident na naman sa Bulacan na isang layer farm na nagka-bird flu. Actually, 2 weeks na yan Nung February 3, nakasama ko yung isang member namin from Bulacan. Yan ang nagsabi sa akin. Nasabi niya, meron na namang tinamaan sa Bulacan. Ang balita niya, although ang official siyempre na ano natin, BAI ang source natin na info. Pero ito, kwento sa akin niya nung aming member na nandun sa Bulacan. Yung farm na yon, pinarenta ng may-ari kasi tinamaan ng bird flu, naubos yung manok. Ngayon, ito nagre-rent, nilagyan uli niya ng manok, tinamaan na naman ng bird flu. So, ang ano natin dyan, kung hindi masasawa tayong bird flu, nabanggit nyo kanina, na-report ng BAI, merong 6 na incident ngayon ng bird flu. Pero hindi naman nakaka-capture ng BAI lahat yung mga incidents. Yung iba, hindi nagre-report. Yung iba, hindi nila napupuntahan. So, pagka hindi nasawa tayong bird flu, pagka marami yung namatay na manok na naman, ma-apektuhan yung production natin. Yun ang mangyayari dyan.
Dapat kasi po, kung tama yung dinig ko dun sa kanina, yung video presentation natin bago tayo pumasok sa interview, kung tama yung pagkaintindi ko dun sa Department of Agriculture, they were saying na, hindi, parang maliit to. Parang maliit na porsyento lang to ng overall supply ng local. Tama po ba yun?
Oo, kung yun lang, actually, ang sabi sa akin ng member namin, 33,000 yan yung capacity ng layer farm na yan. Kaya lang kumbaga sa na-condemn ng BAI 17,000. Kung sasabihin mo sa total population ng layer, maliit yan. Pero nitong bird flu, ang kamukha yan, ang itong Central Luzon ng pinakamaraming tinamaan, Bulacan, Pampanga, Tarlac. Ang estimate namin, although ang estimate ng BAI dyan ay mababa, ang estimate namin sa industry, kami mga members namin, yung mga kakilala nila, ang namatay mga siguro between 8 to 10 million layers ang na-condemn. Ditong bird flu, starting last year.
8 to 10 million.
Mga ganon. Ang ina-estimate nila, mga 8 to 10 million eh.
So that would represent what percent?
Ang hirap nga namin pag nagsabi ka ng figure, kasi ang dapat na may data na maano dyan, ang Department of Agriculture. Kasi hindi naman lahat member namin eh. Ngayon, ang Department of Agriculture, may agency naman sila, may mga opisina sila throughout the whole country, sa mga region, sa mga probinsya, dapat sila yung nakakakuha ng actual numbers. Kaya ang hirap din sabihin, yung ani namin, kung ilang percent yan, para lalabas, estimate lang yan.
Sige, Mr. San Diego, maraming salamat po.
Salamat sa pagkakataon binigay niyo sa
Salamat
akin.
po,
Si
sir.
Ginoong Gregorio San Diego, chairman po ng United Broiler Raisers Association at ng Philippine Egg Board. And then after the break, we will speak to Trade Secretary Alfredo Fred Pascual. As promised, keep it here on One News.
President Bongbong Marcos scored more than 30 business deals in his official working visit to Japan. But how many of these will translate into actual investments? And joining us on the program, Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascual. Sir, Mr. Secretary, magandang gabi and welcome to the Chiefs.
Magandang gabi po. Chiefs.
Good evening
Magandang gabi po.
Thank you,
Magandang gabi
sir,
po.
for joining us tonight. Sir, well, of course, we do want to talk about all the investment pledges, I think around 13 billion that PBBM brings back from Japan. Pero if you don't mind, I'll zoom in first to one particular investment that you mentioned in Japan.
Sure.
Ito pong Toyota Tamaraw. Kasi kapanahon po ito ni Luchi, tsaka ni Ami, tsaka ni Robbie. Ako, inabot ko kasi Innova na eh. Pero sir, what exactly does this mean and how significant, if at all, is bringing back the Toyota Tamaraw to the Philippines? Are they going to build that here? Are we going to revive the automotive industry?
Yeah, they're setting up facilities so that they can assemble the old Toyota Tamaraw, but with modern parts and the use of digital technology. It will be not just selling vehicles, but actually selling mobility. So there will be a lot of service components. What will happen is they'll produce a unit with a cab and a chassis, and there will be flexibility on how depending on the use of the vehicle, they expect or they hope, that local entrepreneurs will come up to get engaged in bodybuilding, so they can say build a van type for delivery or jeepney type for passenger, or add another cab to make it a family vehicle. So that's the kind of flexibility being offered by the new, I don't know, they call it mobility vehicle, okay? But it's Tamaraw-like. I don't know whether they'll adopt the
name.
the brand or name Tamaraw in this new vehicle, but they're investing about, if I'm not mistaken, 4.4 billion pesos to set up for this. They say they have the app already that will enable the public to, in fact, get services from this vehicle, the same way that they're doing it from the vehicle hailing app that's available in the market now.
What do you mean by that, sir? The last part, there's an app where you can get, what was that again?
Like if you want a vehicle, like what we do now, you go to a certain app. I don't want to mention the
Yes, sir.
app,
Yes, sir.
there are many competing apps, and you can order a vehicle to ferry you from your office or back to home, or from home to office.
Sir, alam ko, natatanong ko, in the 1970s, I think we set up a Ford plant here, no? And as a matter of fact, we were, if I'm not mistaken, the first in Asia to actually start manufacturing cars. Sana, no? We were trained by Ford, right? Tapos nawala na ngayon.
Ford
Is there
Sierra.
any hope at least that starting with the Toyota Tamaraw man lang, ma-revive yung industry na yun?
No, in fact, in the meantime, nagkaroon tayo ng tinatawag na CARS program. It's like car resurgence program. Medyo na-stall din yun because of the pandemic. We're looking at the possibility of extending that particular program so that I think Toyota, together with another vehicle manufacturer, Mitsubishi, can. I think they each has two variants included in the program. The Tamaraw is another separate program which is not under this car resurgence program.
Sir, zooming out a bit on what you're projecting and announced as investment and pledges from Japan. Zooming out of mobility, as you called it, what are the other sectors that was high on the list?
Well, you must have read in the papers yesterday the announcement from First Gen and Tokyo Gas about their offshore LNG regasification unit, which is meant to make gas available to run the gas-operated power plants that are now being fueled by the gas from Malampaya. As you may know, the gas from Malampaya is fast declining in output, so we have to replace it because 40% of power generation capacity in Luzon is dependent on the gas from Malampaya. So one replacement is the LNG supply to come in liquid form and will be they will have a regasification, and Tokyo Gas is intent on setting up an offshore regasification unit.
Secretary,
This is in partnership with First Gen.
Secretary, I'll zoom out a bit, no? After the trip to Japan, President Marcos attended the LEDAC, and among the priority measures was the passage of the regional economic, the comprehensive partnership. Magsisegue na ako from our previous conversation.
Yep.
At agriculture sector are complaining about it. They're not yet competitive enough. Now, I know we've heard this argument before, but what's your reaction to that? Sila daw yung tatamaan ng gusto with the ratification of RCEP.
Hindi po totoo yun, ano? Dahil nga kaninang hapon, nagkaroon kami ng session sa Senado at inisponsor na nga ni Senate President Nick Subiri yung ratification ng RCEP. This very important trade treaty, trade agreement, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Agreement or partnership will have a big impact on the country's industrialization and the volume of exports and of course imports that it will be doing in the regional trade involving the 15 countries that are members of RCEP. Alam nyo, matagal na itong nagpising discussion yan, 2011 pa yata, no?
Yes.
And then nagpirmahan na nga nung January. We were an original, the Philippines was an original signatory, okay? And then last year, all the 14 countries deposited what they call their instrument of ratification. So they're now full-fledged members of RCEP. Naiiwan ng Pilipinas, we're trailing behind again because of the issues that have been raised, but we have spent a number of sessions with farmer groups to discuss their concerns and to explain to them that many of our products, farm products, are not covered by the tariff liberalization under RCEP. RCEP is a mega trade agreement, which is more than just market access. You know, it's not just about tariff. And in any case, when it comes to agricultural products, our negotiators have made sure that the tariff protection being enjoyed by such commodities as rice, corn, onions, etc. There are about dozens of them, that they will not be affected by the reduction in tariff.
I think, sir, yes.
Which means that the concern about the country being flooded by imports of this farm produce is not correct. Because they will still be protected as they are now under our we have existing free trade agreement among the ASEAN countries, and those tariffs there will be respected and will not be changed.
Actually,
Now,
there's
for some, please,
yeah, go ahead.
yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, farmers are saying that they're coming off their experience with the WTO, and that ever since we participated in the World Trade Organization, that they have not felt any benefits from our participation. As a matter of fact, they only remember harmful effects. They were not given the support that the government pledged them. And they're poorer than ever. That's how they feel. And if kumbaga, the protectionist policy that was being touted as the bad guy during that time, hence the WTO, is now being applied naman on our imports. No? Yung importers ngayon, ang pinoproteksyonan. That's how they feel. What do you say to that? That this just WTO 2.0?
Be it WTO, be it RCEP, these are not magic remedies or magic cure to our big problem of farm productivity. Okay? It doesn't mean that after we've signed this agreement, everything will fall into place. No, we have to exert effort. We need to implement the programs to improve the productivity of our farms so that they will be competitive. But in any case, as I said, there is no worry about farm products that are not going to be affected by changes in tariff. But yet, we still have to improve our farm productivity with or without RCEP, with or without WTO, to improve the economic condition of our farmers. And in our discussion this afternoon, there will be a corresponding restatement of what the government has to do to support our farming communities.
Ano kaya yun,
Sir, siguro,
Secretary? Ano kaya yung restatement? Can you give us an idea
Well,
of what it might...
ang isang na lumabas sa usapan namin, ako rin, I had my own separate meetings with farmer groups. Ano? Sabi naman nila sa akin, yung RCEP na nakikita nila, that it will be good for 90% of the economy. Ano? Kaya lang nga, gusto naman nila na hindi makalimutan yung mga farmers natin. For example, yung control ng smuggling. Okay? Nothing to do with RCEP, nothing to do with WTO. It's an issue that has made our farm produce uncompetitive from vegetable and other farm product imports from countries that have very high productivity. They're able to produce onions. Onions, for example, just to cite an example, the landed cost of onions in 2022 averaged 14. Okay, 14 pesos per kilo. Ang farmers natin, average price, farm gate price was 35 pesos per kilo. Okay? But as we very well know, towards the end of last year, we're seeing onion prices as high as 650 pesos per kilo up to 800 pesos per kilo. So who's making the gain? Who's earning from this huge difference between farm gate cost and retail price? Okay? And then how about these importers who get their onions at 14 pesos per kilo landed price or landed cost, and then being sold for 650? Who's making the gain?
Sir, precisely, I think
it's precisely the question.
precisely that's the question, di ba? And what is your what is your
yun ang mga kailangan tutukan. It has nothing to do with RCEP, no?
Yes,
yung solution doon.
We completely agree. We are taking this beyond the context of RCEP. We're just taking this from the dissonance that farmers and consumers have been expressing this past month. Let's just take importation without any judgment on whether or not we should import. But a lot of people, the strategy was, look, there's no way around it. Kailangan tayo mag-import ng kung ano-anong agricultural products. Ultimately, it does not redound to any reduction in retail prices. You phrase it as a rhetorical question, but that is still the question of people. What's going on? What's the disconnect? What is your answer, sir, to the question that you raised?
The disconnect is that our farmers are not directly connected to the retail market. They have to their products have to go through a series of supply lines consisting of various traders along the line.
Yes,
So
but
the solution is where DTI comes in, is to improve the efficiency of our supply chain between the farms and the consumers and institutional users of farm products. I'll cite you. Let's talk about onions because that's what hugged the headlines late last year. As I said, it's harvested. It's now the harvest season has started. I think in a number of places that's producing onions. After harvesting, you need to store the onions in cold storage so that its shelf life will go beyond 1 month. Okay, without storage, the harvest will be gone, will be spoiled in a month's time or even less. Okay, so where are the storage facilities? That's one issue that we are going to address. We need to build a cold chain to support farmers so that they'll have the cold storage so that they are not forced to sell their products in one go during harvest. Otherwise, they'll be under the mercy of the viajeros, who will be buying their produce from their farms at harvest time.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
this
Well, I'm well
explains
aware of that, but the
Sir-
question is, until such time that this supply chain, as we envision, is up, aren't we just exacerbating the situation by getting into RCEP?
Hindi nga po. Ka-explain ko lang, hindi naman affected yung onion
Okay.
ng RCEP, ano?
Well, sir, what about
Sir,
other products?
sir, yung in-explain niyo po, as you said, this is the disconnect in the local production. But what people also want to clarify is specific to importation. What is the disconnect in importation, given that importation was the short-term, immediate-term strategy to lower prices? Inangkat na natin, hindi pa rin bumaba. What is the disconnect on the importation side?
The disconnect is that probably I'm just trying to assess the situation from what I see at the moment. I have to get more deeply into this. If, for example, the local traders are the one who will import, and if the local traders are really breaking in the profit, the imported variety will not provide a competition, to the local traders that are buying the local produce. The ideal thing that should happen is that, we import to be able to close the supply gap. Dahil talagang kulang ang production, the productivity nga, we need to improve so that our farms are able to produce sufficient quantity of farm products that we need for our Filipino families. Now, that's enough, we import. So, one approach the government can do is to have a buffer stock so that when there is a supply gap, in other words, shortage in supply, the government can flood the market with imported commodity. But if the importation is also under the control of the domestic traders, then they will be pricing probably the same way they're pricing the onions that they're buying from the farms.
Yes,
so
sir.
there
Sir-
will be no true competition in the market.
Yes, sir.
Secretary,
I think
there's the DTI has some involvement in the pricing of agricultural commodities, no?
Wala po. Ang pricing ng agricultural commodities nasa Department of Agriculture.
Pero
Yes,
nabanggit
SRP.
yung mga SRP, pero nabanggit na rin, I think it's also affecting some of the commodities under the DTI. Sabi ng agriculture spokesperson hindi na daw effective yung mga SRP on goods. Sabi niya, hindi daw effective kasi wala naman daw na-penalize for violating SRPs. Do you agree with that? And what can be done about it?
Well, the SRP that DTI is in charge of is the SRP for manufactured goods, manufactured food products, mga ng sardines, milk, yung mga manufactured food products. And we monitor the prices in the retail market regularly. And there we have not seen violations, for example, since the time I assumed this position. So, the agricultural products, we don't set suggested retail price for agricultural products.
Yes, sir.
Meron kayang takeaway ang Department of Agriculture from DTI in enforcing SRPs? Kasi medyo nahihirapan sila dyan.
Tinutulungan namin ang Department of Agriculture in monitoring prices for
In the market.
in the market.
Yes.
And then we just feed them, with our findings. And if they, like kamukha nung sa onions, we reach an agreement that we will help them, if there is violation, we will issue letters of inquiry to check why prices are at such level and much higher or higher than SRP.
Sir, balikan ko lang yung nababanggit na kanina natin na disconnect. I think we all agree, and I think all the other previous administrations agree with you with regard to that disconnect. In fact, all the other previous administrations, way back, I think 4 administrations, they've also been talking about the need to connect the farmer to the store, to the retail store. Pero, so in principle, there's no problem there. But again, it boils down to how do you do it in a way that works versus how the other administrations did it or failed to do it that didn't work as well.
Well, we have already an arrangement. I don't want to talk in detail about this because I don't want to alert the supply chain currently, but the idea is really to connect the farmers directly with the institutional buyers. The other important thing is we need to get the farmers organized because individual farmers do not have bargaining power when it comes to the buyers of their produce. So under PTI, we have the Cooperative Development Authority, and I have directed the authority to focus on organizing and promoting the establishment of farming cooperatives so that our farmers will be working together. And that will also facilitate their being able to make arrangements with cold storage for their produce.
Yes, sir.
Secretary, matagal nang pinag-uusapan yung cold storage and the producers are saying if they are controlled by the private sector, mahihirapan pa din daw sila. So is the government going to operate this cold chain?
Kaya nga sinasabi natin, the farmers will have to get organized into cooperatives so they'll be in control of their cold storage in their area. Otherwise, makokontrol din ng mga traders yan. Kumbaga doon sa isang bayang kiusap namin, meron nga cold storage, tinanong ko yung mayor, may access ba yung mga farmers niya sa cold storage? Sabi, wala na po dahil kontrata na ng mga traders na namimili doon sa farm nila.
So ang gagawin niyo, sir, government will set up the cold storage for management by farmers cooperatives, ganun ba yan?
That's one possibility, yes. Kailangan ibigay yung control sa farmers, but they have to be organized to be able to do that.
Kasi nasabi din nila, matagal na daw na pinupush ang farmers cooperatives para may mga kulang pa rin. What will be new in your program?
Ineksaka po yung dating mga cooperative din na nagsara dahil hindi nakabayad ng utang. So nalulugmok sa utang yung mga magsaka. How are you going to make it work?
Well, may mga educational campaign dyan, and training to be able to help the farmers understand the way to manage their cooperatives. Mahirap, pero kailangan umpisahan, and we are intent on starting with this. And it cannot be done in the click of the fingers. We need to go step by step.
Yes, sir. Sir, I hope you don't. Yes, sir.
We know exactly what to do, and we're going to implement these programs.
Sir, I hope you don't mind my saying, sir.
Linking the farmers directly with institutional buyers or retailers, and giving the farmers the organizing them so that they can make use of farm machineries, lalong-lalo na sa rice, and then when they harvest, they will have access to storage.
May role ba ditong local governments? Because we understand will be a national government initiative nationwide.
We have to work with the local governments, of course, because they're the ones managing their localities.
Sir,
It has to be a whole of government approach,
yes,
not
sir.
just national government, but in cooperation with local governments as well.
Sir, I hope you don't mind my saying this, pero it all really does sound so familiar. Everything from connecting farmers to the retailers, building cooperatives, and empowering farmers. I suppose the way I should frame the question is this: what have we learned from the experience of the previous administrations that we can apply to this administration that will finally make all these plans work? Because these are all very, very familiar sounding plans, sir, if you don't mind my saying. I suppose na
I agree with you.
magkakatalo po dun sa implementation. So what have we learned kaya po from the previous administration's failures, if you may put it that way, that you can apply this time?
Well, for example, now we have to work with local government. We have to work with private sector groups. For example, we have a number of companies that have retail outlets. Alam niyo naman yon, di ba? They can, we're lining them up so that they will be the ones that will be buying the outputs of farms. Okay. Now, yung organizing cooperatives, ang tagal na yan. I myself, since 50 years ago, have looked at cooperatives, and we have not made the go of it, up to now. But we will have to work with farmer groups and capacitate them so that they can manage their cooperatives.
Okay. Trade Secretary.
Walang magic rito eh. Walang magic pill that we can just implement. You have to go to step by step. But we need to, ang kailangan masigurado rito that we have the cooperation of the local governments, that they are making sure that they will work for the interests of the farmers, and we need to involve the private sector. We need to link private sector entities with the farms. Yun ang I think hindi pa nasubukan in the past. Iniwan lahat cooperatives and to the government. No? But now, my solution, which I'm trying to implement now, is to involve private sector organizations to help us.
Opo. Secretary Pascual, sir, maraming salamat po.
Sir, maraming salamat po.
Thank you,
Thank
Secretary.
you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascual. And that's all we have for the Chiefs. We hope what was discussed will keep the conversation going. I'm Robbie Alampay.
I'm Mami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.